Yeah.
Can you hear? Okay. If you can't hear in the back, just tell me, because I can probably talk about as loud as maybe this thing is. I'm not sure, but just let me know, and we'll improvise and make it a little louder so you can hear. If you can imagine yourself just settled in and around Huntersville, beginning in 1821 up through 1891, when it was the county seat of Pocahontas County, I'm certain that a festive evening such as this was not ruined because of rain. Everybody probably looked forward to coming out, and that's what we are real appreciative that you decided to do tonight, to join us here this evening. My name is Alice Irvin, and I'm the treasurer of the Huntersville Historical Traditions, and I'll be introducing to you a little later the other officers that do all the work. That isn't me. I just take care of a little bit of money from time to time. We welcome each of you, and we invite you to be sure to come back tomorrow and join us. Put on your raincoat. Don't give up just because it rains, because we can't change the weather. And we can't change the dates. Too many things already been planned. This evening, the first thing we want to do is recognize one of Huntersville's finest ladies. You see, it was about 97 years ago, on June the 18th, 1918, that Samuel Isaac Barlow and Mabel Wagner Barlow welcomed a little girl, Lucine Eileen, into their family at the beautiful house at the far end of Huntersville, right beyond the old jail. That's where they lived. Lucille would be here tonight if she were able to come. If she could, she certainly could share with us many, many memories of growing up in Huntersville. Running in the fields, making sure she made it to church. I bet she played around that old jail, probably when her parents didn't necessarily want her to be in that thing. So we would be very honored if she were able to join us. But because of her health, she couldn't be with us tonight. But just to tell you a little bit about her. She married Mr. Fred Burns on May the 17th, 1935. Burns Motor Freight was established in 1949, and Mrs. Burns was the bookkeeper and the dispatcher, and she worked out of her home to be able to do this job. She had a small office there and helped Mr. Burns get the company started. In addition, she made beautiful wedding cakes and donuts to supplement the family income. She's a 65-year-old member of the Eastern Star and also a member of the Marlinton Presbyterian Church. Amidst all this, she never forgot her most important role, which was being a mother and being part of a family. That is evidenced by her children and the work and support they provide for the community here in Pocahontas County. She has 4 children, Fred Jr., Tom, Larry, and Linda, 16 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. Being predeceased by 6 sisters and 1 brother, she's the only living survivor of the immediate Barlow family. This is a wonderful life begun here in historic Huntersville, and we are also very proud to call her one of our own. Tonight we have with us one of her sons, Tom, and his wife, Dreama. And Tom, we want to personally let you know how proud we are of your mother and wish that she could be here to share the memories of her days as a young lady in Huntersville. And will you give us our warm wishes and our love?
Thank you very much.
Also, Tom, we have a framed picture of Mrs. Burns that's this one, that we're going to put in the little museum down that we have beside where Laura Combs lives. And this will be for people to see, and it's the pictures that were provided by some of your family. And we appreciate that.
No, just, you can show it to me. Let's see it.
Okay, we pause this evening to remember another very special lady here in Huntersville. Her name was Faye Helen Alderman Sheets. She was born September 20, 1925 on Beaver Creek and departed this life on May the 10th, 2015 at the age of 89. She always boasted she was the oldest person living in Huntersville at the present time. She told me that a few months before she was moved to a care center. She was one of 10 children born to Clive and Elsie Dean Alderman. And at age 14, she moved from her home into Huntersville to live and work for Kate Moore in the little house right beside the F&F Service Center. And this was not uncommon for children in that day, because by doing that, she earned enough money to attend Marlinton High School. In 1941, she married Nolan Sheets and moved into the Sheets home place. They had 3 sons, Samuel, David, and Michael. And in addition to raising a family, she was very active in the community, the church, the Easter, and the Eastern Star. And during the summer of 2009, she wholeheartedly gave her permission for the Confederate cemetery on her property to be restored, and headstones were placed there. Hopefully tomorrow you'll have some time to visit that cemetery. We remember tonight Mrs. Sheets, a beautiful lady, a beautiful life, and she was one of Huntersville's finest. I know many times when I used to see Mr. Sheets, sometimes at Huntersville store on a Saturday morning when he came by just to talk, I always reminded him, never stray too far from home. He may lose this beautiful lady. She truly was a beautiful person. We have here tonight Sam and Michael, and if you tomorrow travel through Huntersville and see all these little tents over in the field, Michael brings a group of students here each year and does that, and has been doing that for several years. He spends a lot of time getting it organized, and you can imagine what a responsibility it would be. So then we have another person that we simply cannot say. Unexpectedly, the Huntersville community faced another tragedy this year. On August the 5th, 2015, Mr. Marvin Wilkerson passed away from a tragic vehicle accident. He served 15 years in the Air Force, and at the present time, he had served 20 years as a sheriff's deputy in Martin County, Florida. We knew him as our Easter Bunny, and if you attended the Easter egg hunt at the Ambassadors for Christ campground, that's where you would always see Marv as the Easter Bunny, taking pictures with the children and always very happy to help us out. He was a very, very pleasant person. He collected money, he did every errand that you would ask him to do, and we certainly miss him. He was married to a local girl, Angel Anderson, and she's the daughter of Shirley and Bud Anderson. And Marv and Angel have a home on Beaver Creek and spent many times in Pocahontas County. He truly loved West Virginia, and especially helping us out here in Huntersville. We loved him as well and never failed to tell Angel how thankful we are that she brought him to this Huntersville community. And Angel and your family, we are so very, very sorry that we are celebrating Huntersville Tradition Days this weekend without him personally being here, but he's here in our memories. And we really, really are sorry. Thanks for being here. The following people have worked very hard for the festivities that are going to take place tomorrow and what happened here tonight. And first, we have to say a special thanks to Tim Wade, which you've already met, the pie man. He's our president. And then we have Susie Landis, who is our vice president, and Sarah Sanders, our secretary. And each one of us bring to this group different skills. And so if I started naming off all the different things everybody did, it would just be too lengthy. But if you notice all the decorations that you see in Huntersville, Sarah did those, and she put everything together, and she made us follow rules, didn't she, Tim?
Absolutely.
They had to be a certain place in a certain way, and we thank you, Sarah, for doing that. Well, it's about time that we start a style show, and we owe a special thanks to Laura for taking care of this. She organizes the style show and does so many times in the memory of Mrs. Mary Lou Dillon, who had all these clothes and was so involved in making sure this event took place every year. And it used to be held at the Marlington Methodist Church, I believe. So
During Pioneer Days.
During Pioneer Days instead of here. So we're glad that she's doing it this evening. And I just want you guys to remember this. The next time you have to wait for someone to get dressed like a neat little lady, you remember, when you see these dresses, all the undergarments that had to go on to make these dresses what they are, you should never complain if you have to wait 5 minutes from now, wait on somebody just to get ready to go somewhere. Don't get mad. Okay, after the style show tonight, we will have Mr. Robert O'Connor, who portrays Abraham Lincoln's bodyguard. And he's going to do a program for us here in this facility. We normally do it around the bonfire, but because of the weather, we're going to do it indoors tonight. And just a reminder, tomorrow, he will be around if you want to talk with him, I'm sure. And also at the Presbyterian Church, there will be a replica of Lincoln's coffin on display there, courtesy of Kimball Funeral Home. So stop by the church and visit there and get acquainted with Mr. O'Connor here tonight so you can reminisce with some history. Okay, again, we say thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for facing the rain, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. We have all kinds of things planned. We do have brochures in the back or up here. If you don't have one and you'd like to know what we're doing, we truly invite you to come, and thank you for coming out tonight. So at this time, I'll turn everything over to Laura, and we're ready for the ladies' time.
Thank you for coming to our old-fashioned style show. I'm so glad you're here. If there's anyone standing in the back who would like to come, we have seats up there. Please come up and sit down. It'll be so much more comfortable. And that way, if anyone comes late, they can come up and sit down too. Come right on in. There's some seats right up here. Isis, who is a Huntersville native, is in kindergarten, enjoys it very much, is a good artist, and loves reading to her mom. She's opening our show has something to say to you all. Model this evening, and Kim is an artist, homemaker, and mother. She may have, you may have seen some of her work if you've attended the play Sherlock Holmes at the Opera House this spring. Kim painted the sets. All the pioneers who settled this country weren't men, you know. There were also a few intrepid women who came to the mountains of Western Virginia. Of course, they had to be practical in their choice of dress. And the 1700s offered a few fabric choices, usually only wool, coarse linen, or less frequently cotton. Some brought clothes from the old country with them, and when they were lucky enough to get a mold of fabric, they used it